Well, here in Ukraine, the snow fell overnight, as did more Russian missiles, with reports that Moscow may have used an intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time. Now, if true, this would also be the first time in history that an ICBM has been used in warfare. Now, there was talk on social media yesterday that Russia was about to test this missile, the RS-26 Rubesh, which is capable of carrying nuclear warheads and has a range of 3,500 miles. The question was whether this was going to be just a test launch from Astrakhan, a site near the Caspian Sea, or whether Moscow was going to use this in combat, perhaps as payback for the US decision to allow Ukraine to use long-range ATACMS ballistic missiles to strike a military base at Bryansk inside Russia. And we've of course also seen now what are believed to be British Storm Shadow cruise missiles also being used to attack a target inside Russia in the Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces of course have this small foothold. Well, today there are reports from Ukraine's Air Force that this was a combat launch, that an RS-26 along with a number of cruise and hypersonic missiles came down in Dnipro in the southeast of Ukraine around 5 a.m. local time. The ICBM reportedly covered around 600 miles in less than 5 minutes, and that ballistic trajectory allowed it to easily evade any of Ukraine's air defences. Now, this video is said to show 6 re-entry vehicles, essentially warheads, coming down on Dnipro this morning. Just have a listen to this. Now, of course, we should stress this video hasn't been verified. The Kremlin hasn't yet commented on this story, neither has NATO or the Pentagon. Ukrainian officials say the missile contained conventional warheads and hit an industrial area of Dnipro, causing minimal damage. There was also reportedly some damage to a rehabilitation centre for people with disabilities. So what should we make of all this? Well, if true, if Russia has used this ICBM, then it could be interpreted as a warning to the West to show what the Kremlin has in its arsenal. And some prominent Russian mill bloggers today are sort of confirming that thought, saying the low level of damage was essentially deliberate. This was political signalling. Now, this ICBM was actually outlawed under a now defunct international treaty, but there's been reports Russia was about to restart production of them. Now, here in Kyiv, the US embassy has actually reopened today after yesterday's closure. Then US officials said they had intelligence of a potential attack. And all of the events of this week, part of what's being seen really as manoeuvring by all of those involved in this war, the US, Ukraine, and indeed the Kremlin, before Donald Trump is sworn in January.